A dominion in the second sphere of angels. The name Gravitas means stern and severe, so this angel is often depicted as steep, uninhabited mountains forever frozen in ice. His extreme cold has been unpenetrated for eons, and it shows no change going through the passage of time. Gravitas waits silently for an opponent willing to sacrifice everything to face him. As his name would imply, Valor is a warrior that regards bravery in the highest degree. Taking the form of a shield, he stands with valiance at the front lines of Paradiso's wars against Inferno. It is said that when the people are in need, a warrior clad in solid gold armor will appear to rescue them, carrying a sword and shield of incredible power. While fending off incoming evils with the shield, the warrior will eliminate its enemy with a single blow of its sword, claiming victory for those with a strong-held faith. A biological weapon made by the god of chaos as a means of protecting his city. It is able to freely shapeshift into countless biological creatures, accessing their signatures and morphing its liquid metal body into their form. Upon encountering an invader, Golem immediately analyzes their threat level and switches to the most appropriate battle form for their disposal. With the god of chaos presently absent, it is still said to lie dormant, ready to obliterate those who would carelessly enter Aesir's realm. Allegiance belongs to the Principalities, ranked 7th in the angelic hierarchy and part of the 3rd sphere. While 3rd sphere angels are the most common type encountered in the physical realm, Allegiance, clad in solid gold armor, appears only during times of strife between Paradiso and the human world, in order to purge the armies of evil spirits. Legends exist of Allegiance appearing before the kings of feudal nations who have prayed for the emergence of a hero. However, there are also stories of Allegiance seeing through the evil in these kings' hearts and instantly reducing their thrones to rubble. Waiting for Bayonetta and Loki at the gates of hell was the masked Lumen Sage and a mysterious unknown figure. The unknown presence seemed to have an outline that blurred ever so slightly, as if it were not an actual physical form. Yet from it radiated an ominous aura so thick one could feel the insides of their body being ripped apart. Seemingly neither purely physical, nor purely spiritual, nor angel, nor demon, for an instant a hint of confusion flashed across Bayonetta's features as she looked upon this fearsome opponent. Umbra Witch, is that the limit of your power? Did you never open your eyes to your true potential? Chapter 3, The True Vigrid Chronicles, Saavedra. A powerful tank that would trample angels with blood-stained iron wheels and drag them into a world of nightmares during Wars of Paradiso. According to Vigrid legend, Pain's wheels were used for torture, until it became sentient themselves and reincarnating in Inferno. Similar to how those of strong faith are said to have rare encounters with angels, humans harboring strong feelings of doubt are more susceptible to finding themselves face to face with a demon. Like his name, Pain is said to feed on the subconscious feelings of injury and hurt in one's soul, and will appear anywhere people misguidedly attack each other in an effort to obscure their own sense of loss or loneliness. A hellish arc that, while seemingly leading sinners to the Garden of Eternal Pleasures at the end of the world, was in actuality abducting them to compete in a massive bloodbath. The souls who boarded Insidious were led nowhere. Surrounded by the stench of death and rotten flesh, they massacred each other, struggling over whatever morsels of food they came across. With a unique organ in its body that converts death into demonic energy, Insidious always carries a tremendous amount of power. A myriad of hell's creatures live within its gut, making him useful as an assault ship during Wars of Paradiso. If swallowed by Insidious, the only way to escape is to stand atop a tower of corpses and wait for him to open his jaw when he engorges his next feeding. However, those who take pleasure in killing may find their true garden of eternal pleasure within this demon's bowels. A clan of demons who infest the Malebolish caves of Inferno. They constantly scuttle in groups, searching for unfortunate prey who have lost their way. Hideous often appear in groups in the human world as well, but display no cooperation in movement. For them, there is only scrambling for prey and a mad dash. Yet, Hideous possesses a very strong intelligence, able to forge various weapons and rarely challenging enemies that appear in larger numbers than their own. If one is sighted by this merciless demon, overpowering it is the only option. Only a few are capable of this, namely, the Lumen Sages who control the power of light, and the Umbra Witches who control the power of darkness. A Hideous that has been forced into starvation and has resorted to devouring its siblings to survive. Wielding enough power to stand alone in a fight, hatred's anger and unspeakable rage still claim complete control of the Hideous around him, who tremble in his presence. A demonic bird that gathers in Inferno's Johnston Forest. It possesses the wings of a bat, head of a dragon, and a tail of a snake. It visits the bedrooms of hysteric humans nightly, caws in their ears until they weaken and die, then devours their flesh. There are some who have tried to escape from its curse, but its terrifying cyclops gaze ensnares its target as if it were petrified. An abnormal creature possessing 3 necks, 6 legs, and 9 stomachs. Though they are constantly hungry, they are unable to shed the waste left behind from their constant gluttony. Those who are devoured by greed are destined to be trapped for eternity, forever cut off from the cycle of death and rebirth. At times, he was tasked as the gatekeeper of hell, denying entrance to unwanted visitors, yet no victim can ever satiate his endless appetite. Previous owners still remain trapped inside his stomachs, waiting for the day of his defeat. A fallen angel from Paradisa who once served God as a blazing chariot. Bearing the name Pride, those who summon him trade their ears and eyes for power and pleasure. However, those who call him forth must be careful with his power. He controls his reins, not the one who summoned him. And once the flames of the chariot have been ignited, they cannot be extinguished, not even by Pride himself. A master occultist of Inferno who is the embodiment of malice, stealing various names from different creatures in hell. Malicious is just one name by which he is known. Inexperienced witches will unwittingly summon Malicious and be tricked into forming a contract with him before knowing his true identity or appearance. No matter how kind or courteous Malicious may act, he is not to be trusted under any circumstances. He is a shaman of hell who finds his greatest delight in deceiving and betraying others, trapping them in regret and hopelessness. A once beautiful maiden who was banished to hell for the sins of her younger sister and mutated into a snake-like monster with 7 heads. Her human heart has long since been lost, and she viciously attacks anything she deems an enemy. Those trapped by her 7 heads must suffer slow, painful deaths. Out of her many heads, only one is real. Slicing off any of the others will not amount to much more than a scratch. A giant endowed with 6 fearsome arms capable of pulverizing mountains. Those unfortunate enough to fall underfoot of the demon are subject to days-long violent earthquakes. Lacking knowledge, but brimming with brutality, it is said that even the most powerful of conjurers should take heed of the danger this beast presents. The Water Capital. That's my name for this town. Noaton is surrounded by oceans and lakes. The sea provides more than enough for the residents to sustain themselves. The snow from the peak of Imblevender melts into a river that flows to the base of the mountain. The river provides drinking water for Noaton's inhabitants, then eventually collects to form a breathtaking lake. At the lake there is the Cathedral of Cascades, an ancient piece of architecture with a very mystifying presence. Though some of this ancient building still holds together, including its unique pointed roof, the pathway that once connected the city to the mountain's peak has crumbled to the bottom of the lake. There is said to be a resting place for the servants of God in the Cathedral of Cascades submerged underground. The locals told me of a terrible guardian that prowls the corridors, devouring the soul of any fool who trespassed in that sacred place. The people of this town must be fed up with me sticking my inquisitive nose where it doesn't belong. Why else would they concoct such a ludicrous tale? The phrase servants of God calls to mind images of ordained prophets passing down divine wisdom. I imagine these disciples also played a part in the shadowy past of the witch and the sage. I will find clues to the origins of these clans somewhere in this cathedral. I can feel it. The natives here don't know who they're dealing with. It takes more than a few tired ghost stories to put a damper on the journalistic flame of one Mr. Luca Redgrave. Crests are often used to show the lineage and ancestry of a people. The Umbra and Lumen also used such crests to represent their clans. The symbols were based on the object of each clan's respective ideology, the moon for the witches and the sun for the sages. These distinctive symbols, etched upon every Lumen or Umbran object of any importance, makes an investigative journalist's job easy. Single glance tells you from which culture an object came from. The Umbran tombs sealed away by the Lumen are a unique example, with an Umbran seal on the tomb and a Lumen seal on the marker atop it. They bear the motifs of both the sun and the moon. A crest also exists for Aesir, the god of chaos. Carvings of this symbol are a familiar sight around Noaton. Made up of a series of overlapping diamonds, each component is said to represent a single layer in the matrix of time and space that forms our universe. There is a piece of metal embedded within Aesir's crest that shines with an eerie glow. I have heard it contains some deeper significance, but I am going to need a bit more time to crack this particular chestnut. Sometimes we discover things from the past we find hard to believe. I have seen artifacts displaying a level of civilization that could not have existed in the time they are claimed to have been created. Ruins are found built with technology far too advanced for that of their era. Noaton is said to be one such place where this phenomenon occurs. Unsure of what I could find, I decided to investigate the Cathedral of Cascades. The cathedral stands in the middle of a lake, requiring me to take a boat to reach it. Its outer walls were in worse condition than I expected, as debris blocked the entrance. It took a little improvisation to find a way inside. Surprisingly, the cathedral was in much better condition indoors, and I reached the center of the building in no time. It seemed to be the base of the tower in Noaton that almost scrapes the sky, created to be symbolic of the sacred mountain Fimbulventr. They say there used to be a path from the top of the tower that connected to the peak of the mountain. There was a strange sphere-like object sitting on the ground too. Could it have been the ancient elevator I heard the townspeople talking about? Curiously, there were no wires or anything attached to it. How's it supposed to take people up to the top? I didn't see stairs either, so I assumed it was an elevator, but maybe I was wrong. Some of the things people come up with, seriously. Whatever that was, I want to figure it out eventually. I snapped a photo, so I'll show it to someone who might know a thing or two about it. Of course, only after I finish the rest of my investigation here. The lake surrounding the base of Fimbulventr is said to extend deep underground, so deep that no one has ever seen its bottom. There are tales that God created a city that sleeps along the lake bed and punishes any who approach it with eternal damnation. I thought it was probably just some story made up to scare kids, but some of the details were a little too worked out. They say the city was formed from the memories of God, as he watched over the human world. It was made as a haven to keep the chosen people, plants, and animals safe when the judgment day would come. Without the city, all life on the human world would simply be washed from existence with the world itself. It's obviously not the most convenient place to get to, but God was, of course, aware of this. He made sure there was a means of transportation that could carry the chosen ones to his city. The people referred to it as an ark. The ark was put together using special earthen elements that allowed it to move through water like a submarine. If that thing really exists, I wonder if someone like me can make God's chosen one list. A seal, that which is used to keep what is dangerous or important from the reach of others. When the human world was still new, they say there used to be entrances to Inferno and Paradiso all over, but with time they were almost all destroyed by the followers of God. Yet, other entrances were too large to be torn down by human hands. God sealed these gates away in almost impossible to reach areas, some so high that only his eyes could see, and some far, far under the water's surface. He created impenetrable barriers around the doors so no one could ever enter. If you think about it in another way, this means that those entrances still exist. They've simply been sealed away. And as they say, seals are made to be broken. If the door is locked, all you need to do is find a key. Although, I suppose the first problem you have to face is actually finding one of these gates in the first place. While we call our own kind in this realm humans, we also give names to the inhabitants of other worlds as well. Beings from Paradiso are angels, and the creatures of Inferno are known as demons. Sometimes they're the focus of our worship, and sometimes they're the source of our fear. You might not be able to see them, but have you ever felt their presence? Their worlds are right next to ours. Sometimes they're standing right behind us. We are told that they're watching over the human world, but they've been sighted plenty of times as well. There are people who actually have the power to see these angels and demons. Looking at the descriptions and pictures they leave behind, we usually see angels depicted as punishers of evil who lead the pious to the land of overflowing pure of light. Demons get depicted as humans who have died unfortunate deaths or fallen angels who are reborn to spread death and suffering. Witches most likely get their bad reputation from their association with demons, even though the Umbra are just as human as we are. And when it comes down to it, we possess qualities of both angels and demons, while constantly doing anything to accomplish our own selfish ends, which might make us the most terrifying creatures in existence. God made a special place to protect his remembrances of time, which came to be known as the Garden of God. The garden needed a strong protector to watch over his creations. The Guardian was a robot-like soldier built to obey only the orders of its creator. It could change its form freely to whatever defeat its opponent in the swiftest manner possible. With time, humans discovered the fearful soldier god had created and imitated this technology to build their own soldiers of war, the Golem. While Golem was originally intended to be used as a protector of their homelands, its power became too great to control. Eventually, mankind was left with no other choice but to seal the Golem off in another dimension. As for the original Guardian that God created, what's it doing now is anyone's guess. Who knows, might still be lying in wait somewhere, keeping its territory safe from intruders. This means it's not the safest bet to be lording around in any kind of sacred realm, if you catch my drift. In the past, God watched over the human world all by himself. The human world is always in a state of flux. Time flows endlessly, bringing death and new life. That which disappears is eventually forgotten. God felt mercy for existence and tried to grant them eternity with the remembrance of time. At intervals, he would quietly appear in the human world and observe creation, slowly building remembrances of time. He created a special place to store the great deal of memories he had created. This place was known as the Garden of God and described in children's stories as a place in the depths of Lake Noaton. It is said to be full of the places and things found in the lives of ancient civilizations cut off from the ebb of time. Something tells me it wouldn't be the best place for your normal citizen to go wandering around in. Even if the whole thing is just made up, I wouldn't be me if I didn't at least try and find it. Every once in a while, you find something either brave or stupid enough to pick a fight with angels and demons. Word of advice, save the epic battles for video games. Beat one of these monsters for real, the only smart choice is to run. If you have a death wish, I won't try and stop you, but at least make sure to arm yourself with the proper weaponry. Everyday guns and knives are nothing more than a minor irritation to these beings. They don't even leave a scratch. You need something with a lot more bite. How does one acquire such a weapon? As hardworking, upstanding citizens like you and I eke out our meager existence, in a certain establishment these types of goods switch hands daily. Sequestered in the shadow of a gaudy neon, this part bar, part armory makes its home in the dankest corner of the city, the Gates of Hell. The unremarkable facade opens into an equally unremarkable pub, but those who enter via a secret door will meet a weaponsmith without equal. This, however, is easier said than done. Even if you find the door, one look from the barkeep, and most don't make it past the threshold. And don't even think of trying to buy these articles with money. Remarkable weapons require something remarkable in payment, namely, the glowing halos that crown angels or the metals that carry a demon's essence. The type of currency that, while sinister, are said to be treasures of incomparable beauty. If you're looking for a discount, the right brand of Japanese sake makes any deal more palatable. You should be able to get them to hand over at least a priceless talisman or two.